What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Duelist 101 podcast. I'm Mason, here with my co-host, Zach. We are ready to learn you a thing. But first, we do, in all seriousness, want to give you guys an opportunity to do some good, should you feel so led. Over last weekend or a couple weekends ago?
So last weekend, yeah.
So last weekend, there was this massive tornado storm that swept through northeast Arkansas, western Tennessee, and southwestern Kentucky. This thing demolished a lot of different places. And so we wanted to give an ample opportunity for us to come together and try to support an area in need. This is also an area that Zach and I grew up in, so it hits a little bit closer to home for us. This is not a well-to-do area, definitely not one that's going to come back quickly from it. So if you feel so led, we would love if you would contribute. We are going to put a link in the description just to give you guys the opportunity to do your own research, find something meaningful to donate toward. The one that we will put on there is one that's close to us, and I know for a fact 100% of it goes to helping these people in need. So yeah, that's about it. But now that we're done with relief,
now the time to talk about the serious things in the world.
That's
card
right.
Games,
the things that matter. So last week we talked about Sword Soul. Who was spot on about Sword Soul? Us. You're welcome.
Like every single bit. We even predicted the Dragoon Turbo deck, which was just going to feature Dragoon, DPE, and the rest of it's a Sub-Terror engine.
Boom. You're welcome, everyone.
Predicted. Wow. It's hard. It's a tough life being so good.
It is tough being this good. But so Sword Soul performed about as well as we thought it would. This week we're talking about new generation Bird Up. Zach, tell us, what do you think about birds in this economy?
Well, birds, first of all, they're all fake. The government uses them as spies, and anyone...
This is America.
Now, here's the thing. In today's game, Bird Up has been running the format for some time, and honestly, at this point, if you haven't figured out how to beat the deck, at this point, you might be one of those, such as myself and Mason, that might just be like, I just want to destroy all bird-related things.
That's true.
Then they made Fluanderies, which features penguins, and we like penguins. But anyway,
yeah. We're now for birds. In fact, we are for bird success,
except for geese.
Freak geese, dog.
Geese. With birds, we've been talking a lot. The biggest deck over the past year has been some version of Tri-Brigade. Tri-Brigade is incredible at just coming back over and over and over. And then another deck that's actually quite a bit older, Lusk, has gotten some support recently. It's ended up making quite the impact in the TCG over the course of the past year. Now,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, so yes, Lusk is seriously in the fray. They've got some new support cards that are incredibly broken that came out of Synchro Storm. And then the Tri-Brigade stuff, as Zach pointed out, has been around for like ever. So now we have this deck that does Xyz summoning extremely well, and seems to have a near limitless group of support, and like they can just do this forever, it feels like. That said, they did not convert well at the recent YCS.
The reason being, everyone's looking for them.
Same thing with PK. PK's still good, I swear.
Now, if you guys noticed in the most recent YCS ranking, Sword Soul performed amazingly. If you guys go to check, if you haven't listened to it, check out episode 2 of Codebreak. We talked about Sword Soul and everything, and like we said earlier, we were right. Sword Soul is really, really a good deck, and it was going to impact the meta as soon as it came in. Now, with Sword Soul, they were incredibly successful, did a really, really good job. Tri-Brigade has become the second place combo deck, and everyone, since they've been playing it over the past year, they know what to expect, right? They know the board it's trying to make, they know how it's trying to get there, and based on the situation, how their combo line works probably tells you the cards they have in hand, type of thing.
Yep. That said, even though this is a similar deck to what Bird Up used to be, Bird Up was popular during late Eldritch Emancipator format, right?
Right.
Like right after or like close to that.
It released right in October, December last year.
All right, perfect. So kind of right after the Secret Slayers meta.
It's when really Drytron came out.
When Drytron, hey, that's why we don't remember it.
Because Drytron ran the format first. Now we've got Bird Up. Now we want to give you guys a guide on what this deck does and how in the world you beat it. But first, you got to understand what tools they have. And we'll start out with this. In their main deck, their sort of main starter that I think they like best now, Tri-Brigade players may say otherwise. This is just, according to the cards, this is what I would expect to be the best. Starting out with Fractals, it sends itself from hand or field to grave to be a foolish burial for a level 3 or lower bird. I'll just kind of leave it at that. And you will notice with all the Tri-Brigade cards, they have the same effect. When they are on field, they can go and banish from the graveyard in order to pull a link from the extra deck. No other deck does that, right? And that's what makes Tri-Brigade so interesting. But let's keep in mind, they banish from the graveyard to make that happen. When banished, many of the extra deck cards get effects, and several of the main deck as well. Cool?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of that. Of course, Fractal, Karis special summons itself from hand, provided you, control another one of the types?
I think, yeah. Something like that.
I feel like that's wrong, actually. Let me see here.
No, excuse me. It's special summons from hand just when you control nothing, I think. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't think it's Cyber Dragon.
You go look it up for a second. I'll go talk about Kit. Tri-Brigade Kit, it came out in a whole separate set from when Tri-Brigade first came out, and it was huge. It has a when sent to the graveyard. Think Burning Abyss is another deck that has effects when it's sent to the graveyard. When Kit goes, you get to go and pitch another Tri-Brigade card to grave, so it has a similar Foolish Burial effect, which means just setting up that link material that Tri-Brigade wants to set up. And Mason, you found it, I guess?
Yeah, so it's gosh, what's the freaking card? The Tricky. You discard another beast warrior or winged beast monster, and you can special summon itself. So that is
stuff in hand.
In grave,
excuse me.
So that they can link climb, of course. And you went through Kid and Nerval, right?
I went through Kit, hadn't talked Nerval yet.
All right, Nerval is arguably the most frustrating card. It's like the one winged beast out of all of them. So that's ideally the one that you're getting on field, but the other ones are kind of bricks if you're trying to focus on like a winged beast style deck. So then we have the Lyrilusk stuff. Zach, I genuinely don't know what any of these cards do.
There you go, Lyrilusk. If you guys don't know, if you've gone and watched the anime, this is featured most in Zexal, and this deck is no, let me back that up. It is not
in Zexal.
It's not in Zexal, is it?
I believe it is.
Is it? Anyway, it's either in Zexal or Arc V. Think it's Zexal. We'll roll from there. Lyrilusk. It is a series of 1-star main deck monsters, all wing beasts as far as I know. They're all birds, and if you go look at the art, you're not sure if it's girls cosplaying as birds or if it's bird-girl combos or it's what?
Arc 5.
It is an Arc 5. See, I was right to doubt. There you go. First one we got, Celestin Wagtail. When it is special summoned, add a Lyrilusk spell or trap to hand. You know what fantastic Lyrilusk spell or trap was recently released? Bird Call. The most stupid card. And here's what
1,000,000%.
Bird Call, it plus is just for existing. There you go. Turquoise Warbler is the next one. When it is special summons, you can special summon another Lyrilusk from hand or grave, and if you control no monsters, you can special summon itself. Right? So if anyone plays Midolce, this is like Petting Sessor. right? Incredibly powerful, great starter for the deck. There's Sapphire Swallow. If you control a winged beast, keep that in mind. If I got Nerval on field, this still works. If I control a winged beast, I can special summon it and a level 1 winged beast from hand. So all of a sudden, if I start with 1 monster on field, I can end up with 3. That is insane. And if a wind XZ monster is summoned using it, the XZ gets to target a Lusk monster in grave and attach it as material.
That's insane.
That's how you prep for Zeus, right?
Yeah.
Because 2, 3, and all of a sudden you have a 4-mat Zeus. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. That's also kind of a main theme with the Lusk cards, is being able to stack material under their extremely good Xyz monsters.
Yeah, and many of them either direct attack, they can battle for you. They are so stupid.
Yeah.
Next one, Barrel Canary. In hand, you get to target a Lusk engraved. This one is very interesting to me. Target a Lusk that's engraved, special summon that, and then you get to special summon itself from hand. So while it's in hand, activate its effect to special a Lusk from grave and special summon itself. It does lock you into XZs for the turn. However, the XZ monster that you summon with it does gain 200 attack, and possession of it can't switch. So Boreload won't work, right? Or Mind Control for lack of a forbidden card. Enemy controller, triple tax, stuff like that. After that, we have the generic bird up strategy, Wind Barrier statue.
You gotta love it. Same thing that Flandres is trying to do. They want to lock you out of playing the game, and one version of that will be to stun you by preventing you from special summoning by using the Wind Barrier statue.
Absolutely nasty. Then the one following that is another staple of the bird up strategy, and that is Mist Valley Apex Avian. It's a negate.
Yep.
Put on board, it's a negate. It returns itself to hand, so you get to keep summoning it over and over and over again. Because it's done.
Yep. I can take the extra if you're cool with it.
Fire away.
All right. So first things first, you've got Zeus. Traditionally, Zeus is an extremely powerful Xyz monster. By detaching 2 material, you can send, not destroy, send all other cards on the field to the graveyard, which is pretty incredible by itself. You've got the F0 package, which is Utopic Future and Utopic Future Draco, or Utopic Draco Future rather. And so Utopic Future can get you into Zeus, and I believe you can Xyz Draco Future with it. I could have some details incorrect there, but the point is you usually see both of those. They're great Xyz style cards. You have Recital or Recital Starling, because that freaking makes sense.
Right.
Listen, I don't understand why Recital. All right, I have a bone to pick, and I gotta say it. All right.
Oh no. Here
all right.
We are.
Dear MBT, love and respect your work. You're the reason I'm still playing to this day. If you say Recital Starling
one more
time,
we will go through Don Juan to take care of you.
There is not a single thing I will do about it, but I need you to know it upsets me. And also, looking at you, Duel Links meta. All right, Mr. Decade, sir. Love your content. Love and respect what you do. If you take any of the Melodious monsters and pronounce the musical terms incorrectly, I will not do anything. But I need you to know it makes me upset.
We will be very upset from right where we are right now.
Right here. I will not move from this spot. But you need to know. That said, Recital Starling adds a winged beast to hand. Any damage you would take is also inflicted to the opponent. Not too bad. Usually used as an extender earlier in the combo, so you can kind of keep your winged beasts going, right? This is one of the new ones. Ensemble Robin. Craziest card I've ever seen. Another rank 1 Xyz monster. When your opponent special summons, you can bounce it. You can bounce it back to hand. Not a once per turn.
Just cause you can just put it back. It's like
you can just.
I don't like that very much. You can just.
Yeah. And it actually reminds me. There was a funny interaction between Super Quantum Red Layer, and Ensemble Robin that was featured in one of MBT's Chalice Line monthlies. And in that, the Quantum player special summons Red Layer, and it gets responded to by Ensemble. Funny thing, neither of them have once per turns on them about the special summon or the bounce. So they just re-special summon. They just re-special summon Red Layer, and then the Lyrilisk player went, "Hey, wait a second." Very funny interaction.
That's hilarious.
But, of course, Lyrilisk being that they stack material, you can get 3 to 4 bounces a turn. If you're smart about it. You've got Shreg, which is a Tri-Brigade Link card. Link 4, when it's summoned, it gets to banish, and when another Beast Warrior or Winged Beast gets summoned to a zone it points to, it can banish another card on the field, non-targeting. When it leaves, it can, I believe, either grab you a Tri-Brigade from the deck, or I don't know if it's the banish zone. I think it's just deck, right?
I believe deck, yeah. But
great.
That's more tools so you can restart your combo, even after your opponent takes all the time to get rid of this card. So,
exactly. You've got Appaloosa. It's a general Link 4 that generally is focused on monster negates. You've got Simorg. This brings out the barrier statue usually. For some reason, the barrier statue, clearly a rock, is a winged beast monster. I will never understand it.
It's all the barriers that all the barriers.
Yeah, they all fit into a type, right?
Yeah, because even the fire one, it's pyro, And
dumb.
It's hilarious.
Dumb. It doesn't make any sense. You've got Rugal. This is another one. Another Link monster.
You get to special something from hand.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. You get to special summon a one of the 3 types, one of the tri-types, if you will, from hand, and then it leaves, and I think cycles a card. It allows you to draw 1 and discard 1.
Yeah.
No. That's fair sheep. That's fair sheep. Excuse me. You've got Bear Room, which is one of the newer Link 2s. You can special summon cards from the banished zone when it leaves the field. I believe you add Revolt, Tri-Brigade Revolt. That's the way that you trigger Shreg on.
That's how you play this deck. You play Revolt. Yeah. You play.
That's it, man. Ferajit is the one that allows you to special summon a card from hand. You can draw and then put 1 card from your hand on the bottom of the deck, which is never an issue. Ancient Warriors Double Dragon Lords. This is basically hieratic
seals.
Seal for winged beasts, right? Or wind monsters technically. Then you've got Salamangreat Almirage. It's just protection. You can quick effect tribute it off, and your card can't be destroyed by card effects. So not bad.
Yep.
There's a lot of cards in there.
There's a whole lot, and most of them one of. So cards like Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, I think, that banishes from the extra deck or whatever. Not crazy good against this deck. It's okay, right? Like you could. The only 3 of that was in the particular list I was looking at when I was going through this was Recital Starling. That was the only 3 of because it's.
Sorry, Recital.
No. Because it adds Wing Beast to hand and you get special summon over and over and you're good to go from there. It's a good deck, but if you want a comparison for a deck over past formats, you might think of this in terms of this is Dragon Link. This is modern Dragon Link. This is what it is. And Dragon Link is still very good, but everyone knows what it does. This is just the newer version of it.
Yeah, just another attempt at Link spamming. The difference is, of course, they want to end on Ensemble because bouncing a card back to hand is just incredible.
Just stupid. They'll get banned.
Maybe, honestly.
Yeah.
So all that said, I mean, the main starters they want to start with Tri-Brigade Fractal, and then Turquoise Warbler combined with something like Bird Call is usually fantastic. That's the thing about this particular deck that makes it so difficult to stop. You really got to know what the choke points are, or you just need to be stacked with some incredible going second cards.
Have
right.
to. Mm-hmm.
Things like Evenly Matched would be fantastic against this deck.
Yeah.
Things like
Any version of
Lightning Storm.
Any version of lots of field removal, right? If anyone that's a Magic player out there, something you can think of is every so often you get a board wipe where everyone loses everything and we just see who can get their stuff back the fastest. You almost get to think about that when you're playing decks like this that come up with such a great on-field presence and they still have cards in hand at the end.
Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of some of the better combo decks. I mean, Dragon Link, what they did really well, Drytron, what they did really well, and I guess now Bird Up, if you will, Mach 2. All of them create such incredible advantage, not just because of their opening board, but because of the follow-up after that, right? Not only can they invest all these resources into these insanely good cards, they can also just destroy your board, no question.
Yep, and
it's incredible.
They don't even have to think twice. And you guys will notice with wind monsters in general, you guys will notice that a lot of them bounce stuff back or shuffle stuff back. They don't send stuff to grave, and that's sort of the joke about wind monsters, right? Is that they blow it off.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. So that being said, what are like the bosses that you have to look for? Shrike, people pronounce it both ways. F-Zero Utopic Draco Future, Double Dragon Lords, Simorg, and the Wind Barrier statue. Ideally, the ideal board will have all of that, plus probably like Ensemble Robin. I cannot sell that card enough in as much as just how good it is.
It's nasty.
You've got that. You kind of went through what makes it so difficult, which is awesome there. This is a tough deck to beat if you don't know what the choke points are. So, Zach, how do you beat it?
All right, the fun part. So at first, with any combo deck, what you need to start looking for is you need to say, okay, what's its choke point? What's its sort of weak monster? If you're playing a deck that plays Christian Haka-Fibrax, that's usually a good point to hit. Or if you look in past decks like Jet Synchron decks back before it got taken behind the shed, you probably want to hit Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon because it's not an overly powerful monster. No negates, take away all the tokens, they can't synchro anymore. Really great spot to hit during that general combo. With this particular deck, you can look for different things like that. Now, a good thing is stopping the searches at the beginning, though they probably have extenders in hands. So if you're going to stop at mid-combo, you really need to go and take a look at what is the key thing, or where do they have the most investment and they'll lose the most when that card gets hit. My recommendation on how to beat this deck is you have to look at where do they get their recursion, where do they get to loop cards over and over, and how do they build their board. You'll notice with all the Tri-Brigade cards, they banish from the grave to pop the abilities of their Link monsters because they get to summon them all of a sudden. With that, we need to take away the graveyard. That is the first way you can do it. Another thing, you'll notice all these cards, if you read the actual text, deal with types. Since they deal with types, if you control the types, you can win this game. Let's talk about some of the cards that do just that. The very first one I have listed here, and Mesa, I figured we can just go back and forth on this one.
You got it.
First thing, for the first solution, graveyard removal, Macrocosmos. It's limited for a reason. It banishes everything that's sent to the graveyard. Super annoying to deal with. It's limited for a reason. It's a good card, right? It's continuous spell, not really any cost to it. You just don't worry about it, and you can end up in a lot of great interactions because of that. Mason, you got the next one?
Yeah, absolutely. This is probably one of my favorite inclusions. If you run a dark-based deck, absolutely consider running a mask change package, where you can put a single Dark Claw. That's fine. That'll do the job for you most of the time, unless you want it to be a consistent part of your personal game plan. And then, a couple of Shadow Mists, Elemental Hero Shadow Mists, and a Mask Change 2. At that point, you can turn any dark monster into Dark Law, which essentially plays the part, of Macrocosmos.
Yeah.
That is plenty to beat this deck.
Yes, just because all of a sudden you take away the resources, you read the Lusk cards, they try to pull back from grave. Nasty. Yeah. Another card that's kind of funny is Artifact Lancia, because when your opponent is trying to banish cards in order to get the link monsters on field, Lancia says, no, you won't be doing that this turn because you contribute it in order to say there's not going to be a banishing happen at this point.
That's right. And you can contribute that from hand or field.
Right. Absolutely nasty. So if you want to play an artifact package, I know many people play Artifact Scythe anyway because it takes away the extra deck. Both of those are very, very good cards.
Yeah, definitely something I would probably like side in, right? Scythe is strong enough to do main deck, but I think this one is so incredible against this particular deck specifically. So yeah. Next up, you've got Dimension Shifter. If you are a Fluandereeze pilot or Gren Maju, going to hell, you can consider this deck. You can, or this tech, excuse me.
Yeah.
So.
I absolutely agree on that. Next one we got is Ghost Bell. That it's interesting, and here's the reason for it. Ghost Bell stops effects. Keep this in mind. It stops effects that change cards that are engraved to being elsewhere. That can be a special summon, that can be a banish, that can be a whatever like that. The issue is the Tri-Brigade cards use banished as cost to summon their links. Right, so maybe not the absolute best card that you could put in. And Mason, please correct me if I'm wrong about this kind of stuff. Ghost Bell is interesting, maybe not the absolute best, but it does stop many of the Lusk plays, which seems to be a growing engine in the deck anyway. Mason, find anything interesting?
I'm working on it.
Okay, so next one we got, which is just hilarious, is Necro Valley. And that one's actually stupid. That one is so good against this deck. I do highly recommend it in that it it stops all the Lusk plays. It just does such a good job on that. In addition, Necro Valley can prevent many of the Tri-Brigade plays because it says if a card would be moved from the graveyard to anywhere else, no.
Pretty much.
It's Necro Valley, great card in this deck.
Yeah, and then Zach, you talked about attacking types, right? If somebody's playing a winged beast focused deck, you can do a lot of really good things. You've got Goes and Match, so only one. Is it one attribute or one card of each attribute?
Only one at. Let me back that up. Card of each attribute, I think is correct on that. Let me see. Are you looking it up?
Each player can only control one attribute.
Okay,
so Goes and Match is one card that forces people to only control one attribute. Yeah, that's probably not going to do it.
Well, make sure that your opponent, many of the monsters are wind, at least Lusk are heavy wind. Something that you guys need to be aware of when you go into tournaments, make sure that your opponent's not trying to make you misplay or something. If Goes and Match is on the field and they're trying to go from a wind into another wind monster, they are not allowed to do that. Right? Not allowed to do that. Even though you have to get rid of this monster to get there, it requires sort of the idea that two monsters are on the field at the same time. It's no good.
Zach.
I'm pretty confident in that one.
Well, all right. Give me a second here.
Sure.
Goes and Match. Each player can only control one attribute of monster. Send all other face-up monsters they control to the graveyard.
See. Never mind. Don't do Goes and Match. Bad idea.
Yeah. So yeah, that's fine.
Oh, there can.
All right.
Kind of. Whatever.
Yeah. No, it's all good. So you were talking about types that you can kind of attack as a weak point. And one possibility, of course, similar to Necro Valley, is Zombie World. Why is that problematic?
So it's hilarious because Zombie World changes all monsters both on field and in grave to zombies.
Yep.
So all of a sudden they can't banish to get any links. They can't banish. They can't get their stuff back if they're trying to target and bring back a winged beast. And they can't target something on field to special summon itself as a winged beast. They're just stuck. Yep. It's funny.
Yeah, no, it is.
Next one is there can be only one. This one's okay. It's sort of more as a speed bump, kind of like Artifact Lancia ends up being. Like Artifact Lancia stops many of the Tri-Brigade plays, but not the Lyra Lusk plays. There can be only one sort of stops that type of thing. It stops the Lyra Lusk, but not the Tri-Brigade. So maybe a decent combo would be both of those. The last one in terms of messing with the types is DNA Surgery. Mason, what does DNA Surgery do?
Changes all the types of a monster to whatever you want it to be. It's really popular in Buster Blader decks because they'll change everything to dragons, but it changes everything at least on field to whatever type you choose. That said, if you have DNA Surgery plus Teekboo, oh my gosh, they're stuck. It would be very, very funny. So then you've got some other ones. Zach put a terrible suggestion in here. He said Mystic Mine is evidently a problem. No, this is if your goal is to win, this is a pretty fantastic conclusion.
Yeah.
Because I mean they'll end up with so many monsters on the field that you should be able to play under it pretty exceptionally.
And oftentimes you can actually do a whole lot in terms of using Mystic Mine to go, and many of your opponents will just scoop because they see Mystic Mine. They don't want to deal with it. And if they know in their deck that they don't have many spell trap removal cards that are not monsters, then they're just stuck.
Next up, if you've got a spellcaster based deck, this one's pretty fantastic. Secret Village of the Spellcasters. It's a field spell that forces your opponent to kind of play under the fact that if they don't control a spellcaster type, they really can't do spells, I don't think.
Right, they can't activate spells.
So, I mean, that would be extremely good. So, all you Dark Magician pilots out there, that one's for you. Then, of course, Infinite Impermanence, Effect Veiler, fantastic ways of forcing their extensions earlier than they probably want to.
Right.
Always good. Anything that destroys, anything that can be not targeting. Most of their bosses don't have ways to deal with that. So that's pretty good. Zach, you put on here Summon Limit and Nibiru, kind of a similar case between the both of them, right?
Yeah, similar thing. Summon Limit means they can only summon X amount of times. Nibiru says count to 5 and hit them when you want. And since Nibiru doesn't destroy, doesn't target, doesn't do anything like that, it just tributes. That puts you in a good spot. Plus, on top of everything, it is a rock, not a winged beast or anything like that. So now they can't extend nearly as easily. It rocks. And Mason, you added Psy-Frame Gear Gamma. I absolutely agree with you. Tell us why.
So, I mean, this one is a monster to negate if you're going second. Always good. And I mean, a lot of decks are already running Garnets. So, what's one more? I think with this one, it's a really, really strong one in as much as it handles the cards that the other ones don't, right? Things like Ash Blossom and Ghost Spell. If for some reason neither of those cards can touch whatever's happening, Psy-Frame Gear can. Psy-Frame Gear Gamma. I mean, worst case scenario, provided you just you get lucky and you have like Dimensional Shifter plus Psy-Frame Gear, you're off to the races, no question. So I mean, that's kind of it for us. I mean, we talked about the representation that we've been getting. And so I mean, overall, Zach, I mean, with Sword Soul coming into the fray, a bunch of other decks that are probably on their way, do you think that Bird Up is made to stick around, or do you think we'll see enough representation to be concerned, but not quite enough to think of it in the same way that it used to be?
It is not going to rule the meta by any stretch. but this deck is going to stick around and stick around. I think it'll end up kind of like Sky Striker does, or Burning Abyss at the beginning of a format, where it just shows up again and happens to do very, very well. It's not going to be a great big thing, but I do need you guys to know that there's a big difference between the EU and North American YCSs that have been happening here recently. In the EU, Tri-Brigade covered almost 22% of the top 32, which is a pretty heavy margin there, right? It was second to Sword Soul, I think. Sword Soul had a much larger. Go ahead.
Oh, as far as representation, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And here in North America, not nearly the case. Tri-Brigade was a much smaller factor, about 10%. And for reference, in top 32, that means probably 3 decks, right? Which is not nearly as many as the 22%, which ends up being closer to 8 to 9 decks, which is quite a few in the top 32.
Yeah. I mean, the representation by itself is incredible, especially for a deck that's been around for as long as it has. So, I mean, that said, this deck is extremely cool. Definitely something you're probably going to run into. The Lusk cards are fantastic by themselves. So if you can figure out how to handle them, you will be in fantastic shape. Mm-hmm. That said, being that it's been around for so long, people do kind of know what to expect on a general scale. And so if you can make sure, this is one that I would recommend like kind of studying up for as far as the choke points. Catch anything that is going to add a card to hand or anything that is going to be very much recursive. Those are going to be the ones that you have to look out for with this deck. So, I mean, past that, we got to talk about the next meta threat, B Trooper.
Yeah, DPE is a very good card. I agree.
Yeah. So, man, I'm really interested to see where we go next because we've got a lot of choices. I mean, in the North America Remote Duel YCS, in the top 32, Plunder Patrol made an appearance.
Right. Like, absolutely crazy stuff has been happening. And to be honest, guys, that is a healthy show of a format, is that any deck can win. And that's really fun. Like, B Trooper got second out of a field of like 700 people. It got second.
Yeah. Gosh, Lusk Tri-Brigade was 3 of the top 32. Sword Soul, of course. Zach, I didn't want to do it, but I think we got to talk about Invoked DPE.
It's about that time. That'll probably be the next episode. Guys, we are going to tell you how to deal with Mechaba and Shadal and all the other crap that deck puts us through, and how normal summon Alistair's a good card or whatever.
we need to ban that card.
Just limit something in the
engine. Yeah.
It is 6 cards. That is stupid. It's
9 if you include Invocation.
Alistair, Invocation. So we're at 6.
Magical Meltdown.
You're right. There it is. And so it's just a stupid card. It does its job really, really well. And props to it for being around for so long. I'm tired of looking at it.
Amen.
It'll be our topic of discussion next week. We'll tell you guys about it. Make sure you guys understand. Here's how you beat it, and here's how you beat up the person that's playing it. No, I'm just kidding. Just don't do that. We do not recommend activities like that.
If someone comes in here normal summoning Aliaster, you look at him, punch him with that left hook.
You look at them with fire in your eyes and let all of the anger that's been seething through from playing Mystic Mind the past 3 weeks, and you just breathe.
You're the one playing Mystic Mind, not playing against it.
You've been gaining all the anger from opponents.
You've been perpetrating war crimes and thus.
Therefore, oh my gosh, guys, it has been a blast getting to hang out. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, everything like that, and we'll put links down the bio.
Yep. Peace. Yeah, don't forget the Tornado Relief Fund. Deuces, class dismissed. Take your treat bags on the way out. Come back next week. Sorry for taking forever. I had a lot of papers to write. We're done. Bye.